Today, we're going to talk about another interesting immigration topic, citizenship. One of the most common questions we get is, how do I become a US citizen? Well, there are several ways to get US citizenship. One is if you're born in the United States, but then you're probably not asking me how to get it, right? Because you're automatically an American citizen if you're born on US soil. Another way to become US citizen is through naturalization. We've had many videos that talk about that. But first, you would need to go through the immigration process and get a lawful permanent resident status, which we usually know as a green card, because historically they used to give it to you as a green card. After 5 years of being a lawful permanent resident for most people, unless you got it through marriage to a US citizen, in which case you can apply after 3 years. So you've had your citizenship, you've had your green card for 5 years or 3 under certain circumstances. You can now apply to become a naturalized US citizen. And again, we've had many videos that talk about that. But what happens if you're born outside of the US and one or both of your parents are US citizens? Are you also a US citizen? Does it matter when or where you were born? Now it gets confusing. And that's why there's something called a certificate of citizenship. And for circumstances like that, you really need an experienced immigration lawyer to help you figure it out. I'm Andre Major, immigration attorney and an immigrant myself. Today, I'm going to be sharing information on who can and cannot get the certificate of citizenship. What are some of the filing instructions, required documents, and some common questions when completing Form N-600 to get a certificate of citizenship. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing below to the channel and check out our other videos. Don't forget to give us a like. Let's get into it. Applying for a certificate of US citizenship requires filing Form N-600, formerly known as Application for Certificate of Citizenship. This form proves to the government that you are a US citizen, even though you were neither naturalized nor born inside the United States. You're eligible to become a US citizen at birth or after birth, depending on several factors, including when were you born, date of birth, the citizenship and marital status of both of your parents' physical presence and residence in the United States before you were born. In other words, how long did they live in the US before your birth? Were you born in or out of wedlock? Meaning, were your parents married when you were born? And if they were not married, did your parents legitimate you? Meaning, did they recognize you as their child? The certificate of citizenship is particularly useful if you need to obtain a US passport or apply for immigrant benefits for your spouse or family. It comes up in 2 kinds. First is acquired citizenship. This is for a child born outside the United States to a biological or adoptive parent or parents that are US citizens. Second is derived citizenship. If you're a green card holder, if your parent who's a green card holder whom you live with becomes a US citizen before you turn 18. You then derive your citizenship. Not everyone needs to fill out Form N-600. In fact, it's rare to do so. Let me give you some examples. If you're born in the United States, you don't need the form. Why? Because your US birth certificate proves your citizenship. If you have become a naturalized US citizen, in this case, your certificate of naturalization is proof of your citizenship, and you got that filling out Form N-400, not N-600. If you are currently abroad, it may not be the best approach. It may be faster to file for your US passport with the Department of State, but you're going to need the same evidence. You won't get a certificate, but you will get your passport and be able to travel to the United States faster. Now that we have discussed who can apply for N-600, let's now talk about the technical requirements. But before I move on to that, if you are still watching, go ahead and hit the like button right down below and click the bell icon to keep yourself updated about all the immigration news that we share. Going back to our discussion on the N-600 application, if you're eligible based on what we identified earlier in the video, here are the things you need to know. It's going to cost you $1,170 to file unless you're a member of the U.S. Armed Forces or a veteran, in which case you can apply for free. How long the process of your application takes really depends on where you're filing and what field office is handling your application. USCIS generally processes cases in the order they are received. Some USCIS offices can finish, there aren't many nowadays that take that little amount of time, but it can take as long as 21 months to 2 years. The timeline varies and can be checked through the USCIS page, which is updated monthly. You're going to have to choose the form, and you're going to have to choose the local office closest to you. And then it'll tell you an estimated amount of time. The USCIS also asks for supporting documents for most applications. They show that you are eligible for the benefit and that the application would give you. So if you're planning to have all your supporting documents ready, otherwise you're not going to get approved or your process will be delayed. As I have discussed, the application for citizenship has many eligibility requirements. So be prepared if USCIS asks, they will definitely ask for extensive documentation. You should look at the filing instructions closely to get the documents that would best apply to your situation. Remember, there is a difference between acquired citizenship and derived citizenship, and accordingly, the proof you're going to need will vary. So you're not going to need all of the documents I'm about to disclose, but you will need most of them depending on what's your reason, acquired citizenship or derived citizenship. So first, your birth certificate. You got to prove who you are. Your parents' birth certificates to show that they're U.S. citizens, or proof of your parents' U.S. citizenship. See? Parents' marriage certificate and divorce documents if applicable. If your parents weren't married when you were born, you will need to prove legitimization. And that really varies depending on the country where you were born and raised. If you have questions about that, give me a ring and we'll talk about it in more detail. Proof of custody for children of divorced couples. So who were you living with? Your permanent residency card. Obviously, if you're outside the United States and you never had a green card, you don't need to provide it. But if you are living in the United States with one of your parents who is a green card holder and became a U.S. citizen, you need to prove that you were a green card holder first before you can derive your citizenship. Proof of your parents' physical residence in the United States. Which years will depend on the law on the year of your birth. Between 1980 and 2005, the law must have changed at least 5 times. So it really we have to track what the year you were born, what was the law that was in place the year that you were born. Adoption decree, if you were adopted. Records of any legal name changes. If you didn't legally change your name, then obviously you don't need those documents. Now, you got to remember that documents in language other than English will need to be certified translated. And translated documents need to include copies of the original document, the translation, and an affidavit from the translator attesting to the translation's accuracy. Lastly, you can either apply for your application online or by paper, whichever is more convenient for you. There are still mistakes that tend to happen, which is why we are presently recommending you file on paper, but that will change in the years to come. USCIS online is getting better every month. To apply online, you just need to create an account at the USCIS website, submit supporting documents, and pay electronically. You will receive status updates, and the USCIS will directly communicate with you if they request more evidence. If you decide to file by paper, make sure to complete the form accurately and pay the correct filing fee. You can mail your application to USCIS using one of the mailing addresses listed on their website. Look at the instructions. It will tell you precisely where you need to file. So there you have it. I hope I've been able to shed some light on the questions about getting a certificate of citizenship. If you learned a lot from this video, feel free to like and share with other people who might be thinking about applying for citizenship. And if you have any ideas for future videos or would like me to talk about a particular immigration-related topic, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. You can call us today if you want to discuss your case, or you need help on your citizenship application, or even your immigration journey. Whether it is about you getting a green card or applying for citizenship, we'll let you know if and when and how we can help. Remember, every case is different, and we won't take your money if we can't help you. Until next time, stay healthy and be safe.